4,500 feet. Engine failure. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Turn. Keep the speed up.
Hello, today I'm going to test myself. If you are a pilot, you probably know what impossible turn is. For a non-pilot, a little bit of an explanation. The worst possible moment for your engine to go kaboom is just after takeoff. You're already flying, but you have minimal altitude and minimal speed. What we are told during the initial training is to fly ahead, keep the speed on the best glide speed, and pray. Okay, not pray, but land on a predetermined landing spot. We all do that as a part of takeoff briefing, right? Right? But what if there is no good suitable spot in the direction of the flight? Many pilots try to turn around and land on the airfield from which they just took off, and this is called impossible turn. I don't really like the name because it is impossible only up to a certain height. This turn is perfectly doable assuming we start from a safe height. We all probably agree that 50 feet is too low and is pure stupidity and a very good attempt to get into the Darwin Awards book. But what is the safe height? 300 feet? 1,000 feet? Many schools are teaching that you should be at 1,000 feet or at the pattern height, 1,000 feet. But that's highly dependent on many variables: airplane type, pilot skills, pressure, altitude, air temperature, wind. For example, the most common airplane, Cessna 172, has a glide ratio of 8:1, 10:1, depending on exact model, which means that without the engine it will glide horizontally 8 meters for every meter it loses vertically. Translated for normal humans, the moment the engine dies, it's falling like a rock. But the small Katana I'm flying with, it has a glide ratio of 14:1, so it should be able to do the impossible turn on significantly lower height. And I would like to know that number. I never tried it, so going to find out today, I guess. As I'm not a complete lunatic, first time I tried impossible turn in simulator. This is the attempt from end of the crosswind from 1,400 feet. The airfield is 870 feet, so it's a little bit more than 500 feet above the ground. The runway is 09 in all modes, and I was flying south on downwind. I'm trying to reach the open field and land, not exactly on the runway, but at least on the airfield. The good thing about this airfield is that they have two runways, 09, left and right, so it's really wide, nice area. As you can see from this distance, it is real advantage that there are no trees and I can fly a few meters above the ground and do a little bit crazy turn just above the ground and land across 3 runways, because there is also one asphalt run. Second attempt from 1,700 feet, so much higher, but this time I'm flying east and I'm trying to really return to the airfield. So not only a right turn, but it's a long left turn and then right turn to the west and reach the airfield. As you can see from this picture, it's pretty much impossible to get there. The question is how far from the airport I'm going to crash into the buildings or trees. So even though we climb really high, it's a bit difficult to get back. And crash. Boom. One more attempt. Mayday, mayday, mayday. We're falling out of the sky and coming back to the airfield. The problem with it, I really pushed the turn here. You can remember that it's no big deal to make a steep turn as long as you don't pull and don't try to keep the altitude. But we lost a lot of altitude in this way, so yeah, 1200 at the moment, and the airfield is far, far, far away. The problem with these returns over the city or the trees is that the climb of the Katana is about 600 feet a minute. If you assume it's flying 60, typically a bit more like 70 miles an hour, that means the climb ratio is 1 to 10 at best, maybe 1 to 12 or something like that. It is comparable to the glide ratio. That means that I have pretty much zero chance to touch down on the same spot on the runway when I lift it off. Okay, this is runway in Trenčín in Slovakia. And here we have a long runway, and the nice thing is that on the right side there are two short grass runways. So just keep climbing, climbing, climbing. I'm still above the runway when the engine is going to fail. Right now. Mayday, mayday, mayday. It's still possible to land ahead of it, but see, there are the two other runways on that, that's why I turn right. But here, because it's an open area, I can fly really, really low to the ground just before I touch down. And very, very easy landing. As you can see, we lost only 300 feet from 2000 to 1700. So, mission accomplished. At least in theory, in simulator, you can turn at 300 feet and come back. In simulator, in Katana, yeah, unless you put a gun to my head, I will not try it in a real airplane. Or unless you switch off the engine in my plane. And here it is why I think it is possible so easily in Trenčín. You can see the tracking of this flight. You can see I lost the power here, turn back and land somewhere over there, but the takeoff is somewhere here on the first green part, and I landed a good 500 meters, maybe even longer, down the runway. But before I tried impossible turns in a real plane, I made a short hop to Excalibur for some practice landings and fixing up my low level of caffeine.
Oops, engine failure and turn right. The speed. Up. Zero. feet. 4,500 we have. Engine failure. And with nose down. Down. One 130. To 500 feet, it seems to be quite doable. Climbing 4,500 feet. Engine failure. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Don't keep the speed up. 570. Up. South. Power is magically restored.
So I didn't plan this really well. As you can see, during the turn I don't deviate at all from the radial, and that's because I'm simply just too far from the VOR. The problem is that I'm in Austria, the VOR is in Czech Republic, so in order to fly closer to the VOR I would have to again change the radius from Austria to Czech Republic, fly closer, and I just didn't want to do it. So these examples here are simple U-turns where I would end up a few hundred feet away from the runway on the left or right side, not directly on the right, but still making a U-turn and losing roughly 500 feet of altitude. So, I just landed in Dobersberg, and this is the hands down best coffee shop I have seen on any airport so far. Airfield, tiny one. Look. So it's time to leave. That fireplace was something. I didn't expect to have a really nice cottage-like looking room with the fireplace and the smell of burning wood. Yeah. Anyway, time to go, but I'm sure I will be landing here more often. So the summary from today's lesson learned: I would not even think about impossible turn under 500 feet, or if I didn't have something like 700 meters from the rotation point to my future planned landing point. Maybe I would try impossible turn from the crosswind if I already were turned 90 degrees to the runway. if again I had a clear path to the runway without any obstacles. What are your rules? Please let me know in the comment and maybe we can learn something new from each other. And now only half an hour bumpy ride home. Typical hot day, midday thermals and turbulence. Yeah, flying is not always fun.